Hello, everyone. Welcome to the GitHub for Software Engineers workshop. I want to first say that this is going to be part one of two parts. Okay, the first part we're going to go over. Basically, we're going to go over the presentation of your GitHub and some of the things that work well. Then we're going to go into installing GitHub, Git cracking, what blob data is, and we're going to we're going to go over commits, okay? In the next workshop, we're going to go over merging, history, forks, rebasing, and shortcuts. All right, so it's going to be two parts, and it'll be available in this video section. I'm recording this. This is being recorded, so it's going to be available in the video section of BSESG. So in case you don't make it to the live presentation, you can watch the video. Okay, so I want to bring your attention first on the presentation aspect of GitHub. Okay, I want to bring your attention to a couple of profiles that I think are excellent examples of presentation. First is Mary Claire Chinito. She is actually a member of our group. Graduate of Brown University. She has, as you see here, actually she followed the template pretty well. But you can see all the languages and tools she has. You can see HTML, JS, all the tools, React, all the tools that a front-end developer needs. So it's all aligned. It's all very organized. Okay, and you see here her repository. So this is a straightforward, good example. I want to show you a great example. All right, and that is Rimbert Designs. Richard Rimbert, my man Richard Rimbert, he is also a member of our group based out of New York. Okay. See here, it says here he has 45 followers. So he has a good number of followers. First thing you'll notice is that one example of a great GitHub is Richard Rimbert. He's a member of our group. And it says here he actually has a counter here. So you can actually find this GitHub profile reviews counter. That's actually a place where you can get that counter. And I have this I also have this. You can follow along this entire presentation from the GitHub workshop repository. All right, and I have everything here that I'm going to be covering. So you can follow along there. Go download the required programs and visit all the links. So I wanted to go back to Richard Rimbert here. As you can see, everything is well organized. Okay. He has basically everything that you need to know with respect to his skill set. You can connect with him. It's like I see 10 different ways to connect. Shows all his languages, all his skills. I'm seeing HTML, JS, MongoDB, Node. Okay. He has a GitHub stats counter, which I think is pretty cool. And that also has a repository. You can visit that here. And again, you can find all this stuff on the GitHub that I just showed you. And I'll make the link available as well in the group. Okay. But you can actually find that here, and you can add that to your GitHub for extra, presentation. Let's see here. So it says here he's very active. He has 724 contributions in the last year, which is enormous. He has over 118 repositories. So he's clearly a very, very active developer. And this is just an excellent GitHub. And so I definitely want you guys to check this out. So the next thing I wanted to go over is the profile generator. So this kind of automates some of the things we talked about. All right, you can generate a GitHub README just like what I just showed you. Just by adding everything here. You can just add all that stuff in here, and you can just so it's not really that difficult. I mean, it won't take you that much time to replicate what you just saw. So I want to go over this. I want to go over this. Okay. So the next thing I wanted to go over is, so the first thing you got to know is Git. What is GitHub? I'm sorry, what is Git? Git is a distributed version control software. Okay. So it's a distributed version control software. And there's a few ways that you can install it. Okay. You can install it using Chocolatey as a package. All right. Or you can install it using an installer package. If you're using Windows, you can use the installer. If you're using Mac OS, you can install it. From the command line. All right, and says here. So you can install one of these two packages. So if you don't have Git, one way to verify if you have Git. Oops, sorry. So yeah. So one way to verify if you have Git, right, is to go to Git version. And I'll tell you the version of the Git that you have. You need at least 2.0. I have 2.35. All right. That's one quick way. So you should definitely have Git on your machine before we go through this. And the next thing I wanted to go through is Git cracking. All right, so Git cracking, I'm not going to go into super in-depth on Git cracking on this particular workshop. There's going to be a part 2, and I'm going to do more in-depth on Git cracking next week. But I'm just going to go through a quick breakdown on Git cracking and show you guys how that works here. All right, so you definitely need to get cracking as well, because Git cracking is will allow you to do some cool things. All right, so there's Git cracking, GitHub. So the next thing I wanted to kind of go over is what is first of all some of the basics of Git. All right, so what is what consists of, what is the basic unit or the basic data unit of Git? Well, the basic data unit of Git is called a blob. All right, and basically we're talking about what a blob is basically it's the hash of a data of a stored data unit within Git. Okay, so what'll happen is you echo. Let's say you type in echo hello world git hash object w /w/stdn. Okay, and stdn stands for standard input. Okay, so you type that into the command line. What do you get? Well, you get what's called a hash, and it stores the data into this hash. All right, and that's the way you identify it. You identify it by hash, and then it'll store it into a place, into a directory called objects, and it stores it into 85. All right, and it starts with, as you notice, it starts with the two letters 85. It always goes by the first two letters. And one of the ways you get a directory, the way you basically one of the ways you get the directory of Git is by typing in tree.git, and it'll give you a full directory of your repository. All right, and so actually what you want to do first is git init, and that initializes your repository, and it'll establish your repository. As you can see, it established my repository in user/Marcus_Tisdale.git. Okay, and the .git file is the way that Git recognizes that it is a repository. All right, and all right, so as you can see in this repository, hooks, info, logs, and then objects. Under objects 85. All right, we're gonna go over heads, what heads are later. But so this is the full repository. Okay, and now moving down. Sorry. So moving down, the next thing we're going to do is we're going to do this. All right. So if you do this here, if you type in this command, echo hello world hello/world hello.txt, git add echo hello world.txt. Okay, so what that basically did was that added the data hello world to a file called hello.txt, and then it added that under the hash that we just created. Okay, and so you would go then add hello.txt, git add hello.txt, and then git commit initial commit. All right. So, one thing I want you guys to know is that I already created this command. All right, and I already created this commit. So what happened was it changed the initial file, and it changed it to this here. Okay, so it was at first it was this A5 F5 6A, and it changed it to let's see here, sorry. It changed it to EF1A E 1A8E0. Okay. So one of the ways, so if you go back to tree, you go back to git dot tree. Tree.git. Tree.git, right? So you go back to tree.git, you'll see that it's under objects again. All right. It's under EF. All right, so I just created a separate object under the heading. So the first object was created under 85. The second object was created under EF. All right, and one of the ways that you find out what kind of object it is, git cat file t, and then you get the listing. So you get the hash. Sorry, so you get the hash, copy. It tells you it's a commit. All right. So one of the things I want you guys to understand is that under Git, it does not store the same thing twice in the sense that it stores something once, and it's stored that one time. All right, so if it's the same data, it's only going to store it once under Git. So this hash right here identifies a commit. But if I go to git cat file /p just to get the data from EF1A8E0, right? Committer. What it shows is the tree, the parent, author, MS Tisdale, hit up Marcus. So it shows the committer, but it does not show it does not print out the data, right? Because that was a commit, and it was committing to data that was changing data that has already been entered. Sorry if this sounds kind of complex, but bear with me here. So here, what if I do this? Okay, so git cat file p, and then and I take this hash here, all right, that I created earlier, hello world, and what does it do? It echoes hello world. All right, so I created that command up here, echo hello world git hash object wstdn, and it takes the first few hashes here. All right, and it gives me hello world. Now, what if I do this? I git log one line. What does it tell me? What kind of stuff do I what kind of stuff does it show, right? So it shows the different commits. It shows the first commit, was the initial commit, was this 07A A3FF4, and then it shows the second commit, EF1A E8E0. So these are the commits, okay? And it logs every commit into a hash. All right. So the objects go into hashes and commits go to a separate hash. All right. So what is a head? Okay, so heads, basically they point to a branch. And a branch is something that is shows here, right? These are branches. All right, so a head points to a branch and a branch points to the commits. All right. So, let's see here. All right. So a head points to a branch points to a commit. All right. So on this particular workshop, I really just wanted to go over sort of the basics. I want to go over some more advanced concepts on the next workshop, but I really just wanted to do this workshop as a sort of setup. Right, I wanted to set things up to set you guys up for the next workshop, which is going to go over some more advanced concepts within Git. All right, we're going to go over merging, we're going to go over history, we're going to go over forks. All right, we're going to go over rebasing, and then we're going to go over shortcuts. All right, and if no one has any questions with respect to this workshop, does anyone have any questions? Any questions in the chat? Oh, it says here, can you make the window bigger with a larger font? It's a little difficult to see. Oh, okay. Yeah. You wanted to check that out? Absolutely. Yeah.
I'll admit that I was watching on my phone, but but it still seemed like it'd be kind of smart if I put it up on a computer too. So
for sure,
just calling that out as something that could be useful.
I will definitely keep that in mind for the next workshop in case people are on their phones. Thank you for pointing that out. Any questions? Sorry.
Sorry. Well, one more question. I think a couple of times you mentioned that when you store content and Git, it stores it in the hash. Could you just elaborate on that a little bit? When you say that it stores in the hash, what does that actually mean? Does that just mean that the hash can identify uniquely the changes that happened in that data, or is it? So it's not actually like compressing it and then turning it into this other thing, or does it do that?
Each change, and the blob identifies the actual data. So the blob, if we go over, if you can see here, sorry. So the blob is, let me show you. So this is the blob, okay? Echo hello world git hash object w /w/stdn, okay? and this is the blob hash. All right, so that's the data that is stored in. It stores the data into a hash, and then it stores that hash into a directory called objects, and it stores it by the first two letters, 85. All right, and so if you want to call that data up, and you want to recall that data, you would type in git cat file /p, and then you get the hash, right? And by the way, one of the ways you find one of the ways that you find the hash is you take the first 6 letters of the blob file. Of a commit, it's 7 letters, but of a blob, it's 6. All right. Take the first 6 letters of the blob file that you just got the hash from, and you got the hash up here. As you can see, you got the hash of the file here. All right. And you take the first 6 letters and you place that here. All right, and then cat file. Git cat file /p hash hello world, and that gives us hello world. That was the thing that we echoed into the file. So we said we put in the commands echo hello world, and it echoes hello world here. All right, does that kind of answer your question? Thank you. Yeah.
Yes, it does.
Any
Thank
other
you.
questions? Cool.